We're still talking security, but this time we're going to cyberspace, cyber attacks and Nigeria's preparedness. Experts say a ransomware computer virus, first reported in Ukraine and Russia, which is now spreading throughout the world, uses the same computer hacking exploit as the WannaCry virus, which crippled hundreds of thousands of computers last month. Now, that sounds like jargon to a lot of people. The first report of the virus was in Ukraine when an advisor to Ukraine's interior minister said a version of the WannaCry ransomware had caused outages on government websites and those of several companies. The end of it all is that cyberspace is not safe. Some people have created some viruses, spyware that have gone into computers and they are causing real havoc. Now, how prepared is Nigeria? If that's coming from Ukraine and it's spreading around the world, how prepared is Nigeria and how prepared are we as individuals? So we have to help us look at all of this. Three gentlemen. Olufemi Ake is a country manager at Nigeria and Ghana. ESET, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
To join us from our Abuja studio is Basil Odutai. Thank you for joining us. Okay, and also Ifeanyi Ama is a National Technology Officer at Microsoft. He joins us via Skype. He'll join us in the course of the program. So let's begin with Olufemi Ake. How prepared is Nigeria in the face of this cybersecurity situation? I mean, what the names, ransomware, reported in Ukraine and Russia, then we have the WannaCry virus. Yeah. How prepared do you think we are?
Well, in terms of preparedness, we have two sides to this, the people and the nation, right, the country as a whole. For the people, I'll give an example. In Nigeria, we are very, very quick to adopt, the best of the best gadgets, right? We like to use the best smartphones in the world. We like to use the best, Internet of Things devices, the best computers. However, we do not tend to stay proactive in protecting these devices, in being prepared for hackers and for malicious content coming into these devices. For the government, we have the cybersecurity policy and framework that is supposed to actually, that is supposed to actually educate the people on keeping, their devices, keeping their customers secured, and keeping data, secured as well. However, enforcing these policies to ensure that businesses take, security seriously, businesses that hold third-party data, customer data, secured. The enforcement is not, very strong. So because of that, we are not, totally prepared.
Okay, let me ask you a naive question, because I'm not computer savvy at all.
Yeah.
How will one know if one's system has been hacked or has been affected?
It's pretty obvious. For the Pt.1 ransomware, for example, what that does is basically it modifies your master record, master boot record. That's the MBR on your computer. So basically,
meaning what? What do I see?
So what happens?
I have a computer in front of me. It's been affected by ransomware.
Yeah.
So how do I know?
You see a blue screen. You see a blue screen.
I lose everything.
You lose everything. You lose your files completely. You, in this case, for Pt.1, you lose your entire hard disk. So the computer doesn't even come on. All you see is a blue screen and, a ransom note to say pay a certain amount of Bitcoin in dollars or in Bitcoins to a particular account, which is, pretty much untraceable. Yeah. Right. When you make the payment, they get back to you with a decryptor. Right, so the decryptor is then used to access your computer, right? So for WannaCry, you might, be lucky to gain access onto the computer, but some files would have been encrypted, obviously, and you can actually access some other, parts of the computer. So that is how bad it is.
Okay. Let's come to you, Mr. Odotai. This situation which we found now. We heard that it's fast spreading. This is not the first time we've heard about cyberspace attacks and how they affect computers around the world. But let's bring it back home. How good are we? Or how bad?
I wish it was as simple and straightforward as that. First of all, there's really no technology, no system, no network that is secure. The internet itself is not secure. So for any technology environment, the natural architecture is open. It's a standard that any device that is made to communicate in the network environment has to be interoperable. It's the natural characteristic of the network environment. Now, so if you add that to the fact that the internet architecture is open, it means then that every communication infrastructure must enable the running of services underlying in the infrastructure. So now, if that is the case, the issue of preparedness now become a question of responsibility. At what point, first of all, who is responsible in our cyberspace for knowing when something untoward happens? If a manager of a network or the owner of a device sees an attack, where does he or she take that information to? What happens after that information is communicated to the entity? Who conducts attribution? Because attribution is key. And what attribution means is that an item that is found to be undesirable online is linked and traced to an identifiable human being. This is why the influx of state activities in cyberspace has become extremely difficult to link to any existing human being or any country. Of course, the tussle between the US and Russia has been going on for years now, and nobody has been able to resolve. In the case of WannaCry and Pt.1 now, everybody is just talking about the rumors around state action. But because states are not subject to domestic criminal laws, it is not possible to conduct unassailable attribution to link this activity to any human being. So are we prepared as a country? The question is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the framework that is required, legal framework that is required to enable attribution already exists. In May 15, 2015, the outgoing president signed into law the cybercrime bill, which became an act from that day. That law is now enforceable in Nigeria and has the entire attributes of what would take the country to the state of responsibility, meaning that we now have a framework that enables critical information infrastructure protection in the country. And we also have a framework for criminalizing all undesirable online activities and creating a room for investigation, preparing charges against hackers and people that desire to commit all kinds of crime on our network, and then enabling a court to take action in terms of adjudication and possible conviction. The challenge is that of being able to manage expectation, because we tend to have the impression that if our system is secure, nothing will happen to it. That is an utopian concept, because there's really, like I said earlier, there's really nothing that is completely secure. There's no absolute security in the internet space. Security is to be managed and not to be attained. Okay, if there was absolute security, the Pentagon would not be affected. Most secure locations around the world would not be breached. So the idea is to enable a constant evaluation of our capability and our preparedness on an annual basis. The U.S., for instance, has this thing they call the National Preparedness Report, where every year they look at their core capabilities, about 30 capabilities linking to their vulnerability and then doing the assessments on an annual basis.